For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of the LA Memorial Coliseum ribbon cutting. This was a day that was essentially 6 days in the making, Dan. We got a nice tour of the new facilities and got to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony, got to hear from a lot of speakers today. But Dan, let's get your overall thoughts about this whole new renovation.
Well, I think obviously it was a long time coming, as Lynn Swan just said. 96 years old is the first renovation, first update. They've done, small things, and obviously they've had 2 Olympics here. So, I think they did for the $315 million that they spent, I think they spent it basically in order to raise it. They had to really attract donors, and then also United Airlines a little bit. And so I think they spent it really well on the tower in terms of those people. It's a fabulous place. Now, some of us who've been a little critical on where they put it. The architects talked about inserting it gently into the bowl. So I think, people will be arguing about that. It's a 7-story building, and it's very deep and brings things way out, into the seating area. But the Coliseum has a more intimate feel, I think, now. It's 77,500 seats. And the seats, there's the place that benefits everybody. The seats, the rails, the wider aisles, the handrails, all the stuff that the Wi-Fi that they say really going to allow you to, do almost anything you want, streaming and all of that during games. So I think they, you might say, well, I wish they wouldn't have had to take the nearly 10,000 really good seats away in order to put this in here. But if you were one of those people who can afford the like the 2,200 to 2,500 people that are going to be in the tower, that's a pretty good deal. You don't need to tailgate anymore at all.
Yeah.
They are, and I don't know how many people are going to benefit from the concourse concessions area at the bottom of the tower, but it's fabulous. It's, now how many people are going to be allowed from the seats below and the seats adjacent to it, I don't know, but that's terrific. A terrific addition, I think, to the Coliseum.
That's what I was going to ask you. As far as, obviously there's a lot of luxury seats, good things for those who can afford it, but do you think they struck a good balance of renovations for the average fan and maybe the not so average fan? I
would have liked to see a little better balance. They did what they decided was going to really help them raise the money, and as they many people talked about here today, it's $315 million, no public money. So that's a good thing. It's not much more money than Cal spent on their renovation or Arizona State spent on their renovation. Some might say this building is bigger, more significant historically in a bigger community. Could they have used more money? Maybe. It's easy for us to say we're not giving them the money, but they made their choices, and they look like they chose well. If you're one of those 2,200 to 2,500 people that are going to be in that tower for game days, you're going to say, wow, this is great. We're getting our money's worth. If you're in United Airlines and you don't have to pay the whole freight of the original contract, they were putting the United Airlines logo on the field. They've got a great sign above the tower and all of that. Pretty good recognition for United Airlines. Whether the average fan is going to, especially if you're one of those people, nearly 8,000 people that don't have those really good tickets now, are you going to say, wow, I don't have, no, you're probably not going to be thrilled, but you probably will like your new seats wherever they are, and you'll like the cup holders, and you'll like the Wi-Fi, and you'll like the handrails, and you'll like the new concession stands, and you'll like the new restrooms and all that kind of stuff, and you'll like the 600 and some TVs that'll be all around the Coliseum, and the audio that's going to be everywhere in the restrooms and concessions area, so that you won't ever lose contact with the game. So I think they're there are a lot of things you'll like.
Yeah, that Wi-Fi will be key. I think that's a big addition. They said that they talked to other NFL stadiums who had done it before and done it successfully. They're going to test out the Wi-Fi on Saturday's fall showcase to make sure they get it right, as well as at the Rams game, the preseason game. So they're trying to get this worked out. I know people were kind of skeptical whether or not the Wi-Fi will work, but they think it will. But one of the highlights I thought today was not necessarily with the tower, it was actually with the peristyle. The peristyle looks great, and they restored the memorial mural that was in one of the curves, if you will. So I thought that was just spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, the peristyle always, to me, is one of the absolute greatest features of any stadium anywhere in the history of the world, history of sports, and that it had gotten kind of tacky and had gotten advertising signs and kind of gotten, into a disrepair a little bit. I mean, it's neat that they spent, I guess the original artist spent four months with his family restoring it, repainting it. They did all the, construction work that they needed to do to get it back to, original. So you almost don't need to do it any better. You just need to get it back to where it was, and it's spectacular. And you would recommend to everybody, if you've got time and you can do it, tour the peristyle. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, this was actually the first official USC event for new President Carol Folt. Dan, what were your takeaways from what she had to say today?
Yeah, as I said, this is the new first event for Carol Folt. Almost at the exact same time, Carol Folt said, "This is my first new big event," which was kind of neat that her first big event is sports related. Although, cynics might say, if you went through the list of speakers, you would say, wow, it took them a while to get around to the sports part of this. There were a lot of politicians talking here. And, there were places that people tried to make, all kinds of connections to the Coliseum, and with family stories and all that. You got to admit that USC's kind of big-souled, big-hearted, whatever, because the number 2 speaker was Janice Hahn, who Coliseum Commission president, and I don't disagree with the fact that she didn't want the name really significantly changed, but probably cost USC, multiple millions of dollars. And there's going to be, and a lot of places might hold that against you if you cost them $40-some million, but USC is big-hearted. USC just come on in, and but I thought Clay actually. Clay was the cleanup. He was the last speaker, and he was fired up and giving them all his. He apologized for halfway through fall camp, and he sounded like a coach. But I think that they kind of needed that kind of pep, rally sort of way of going about it, because there were really a lot of politicians. Did I mention that? It was really hot, but I thought getting it back to football, and as much as you want to say, it's a wonderful venue, and I thought they did a good job of reminding people, that 2 presidents here, and Billy Graham and Martin Luther King, and all of the great things, and baseball, 2 Olympics. Nobody has had the kind of impact on American sports, and maybe almost world sports, as this building. So, but it was good to get it around. Football is the key right now. I mean, USC and the Rams, that's what matters most right now, and it's up to USC. I think at this point, you look at everything that's happened here, and you say, you've got to have a football team commensurate with what they've done with this building. I just think everybody, Lynn actually said, Clay knows what he has to do.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk to both Clay and Lynn Swann after the ceremony, and Lynn Swann was asked about the expectations for this upcoming season, and like Dan said, he said, Clay knows my expectations, and Swann said that the expectations are a Pac-12 championship, and to do so, you get yourself into the national conversation about maybe a college football playoff berth, but it seems like they're on the same page, Clay and Lynn Swann, so it seemed like we kind of got the same message from both of them today.
Yeah, and everybody, I think, is maybe rightly so, upbeat about how practice is going. I mean, we are, people who aren't there are kind of upbeat, and people want to talk to you about it, and Charles Cale came by and said, I watched instant analysis, and I might be a little worried about injuries. Are we okay there? But everybody's like, are we gonna be okay? How's this going? And that's the kind of thing that that's where you are right now. As Lynn said, every year at this time, everybody's upbeat and excited, and now you got to make it happen. And give them credit. What they decided to do, they pretty much made happen.
Yeah.
And you may not totally agree with everything all the decisions they made, but they made it happen. And apparently they really did some wonderful scrambling last night, overnight, to get it ready for today.
Yeah, but it looks good, so that's at least a good thing for them. But like you said, Dan, everyone's looking for practice. This is actually the first of 2 incident analysis for today. It's actually going to be the last time we see practice in its entirety on Howard John Field. But before we get to that field, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I think they've got a beautiful day in the building. The thing that hits you immediately is it's a more intimate facility with the seating the way it is, and cut down to 77,500. It just has a different feel about it. We've been seeing the tower kind of coming for 2 years, so it's not as big a deal maybe for us. But it'll be interesting to see people who haven't been here what it looks like to them. I'm kind of going to be kind of interested in how that's going to play with people. I mean, it looks cool. It just looks different, but the peristyle gets you in kind of such a good mood because it's so beautiful that you're kind of ready for any. And then you're looking at a little bit of a different place. It's the Coliseum, but it's different.
It's the Coliseum with a modern twist, I think. But that's going to wrap it up for the ribbon cutting ceremony of the new LA Memorial Coliseum. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.